You don't have other pictures or anything, and you don't need a green screen, but it really works well.
Okay, are we ready now?
We're waiting for Amanda to finish.
Okay, the streaming is
Yep.
set up.
I got my sign ready.
That's a really good idea.
Okay, now we're ready. All right, we're going to begin the October 2020 meeting of the Clifton Town Council. Meeting is being held electronically by Zoom because of the pandemic and in accordance with an emergency declared by me and the governor and others. The Virginia passed a statute to allow meetings to be conducted electronically, and we have enacted that as our policy. So that's what we're doing. And as usual, anyone who wants to speak has been given an opportunity to sign up and speak, and anyone who wants to attend or at least watch a Zoom meeting has been given an opportunity to do that, and people can watch it on YouTube as well over and over again. Okay, with that intro, we'll move right into business. Clerk's report, minutes.
I received one edit that clarified the ARB report from last month.
And nothing else.
That's it.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes with the small revision.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions. Okay. Anything else?
Yes, I wanted to bring to the council's attention that the regularly scheduled town council meeting for the month of November conflicts with election day. So I wanted to propose that the council consider rescheduling the meeting possibly to Wednesday, November 4th.
Okay, so work for everybody. By then we'll know the election results and we can move on.
Of what year?
So that date work for people, that is typical on election years. We move to the next day. Okay, I'll make a motion to move the next town council meeting to Wednesday, November 4th.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed, abstentions. Okay. All right, anything else?
Thank you.
Okay, treasurer's report.
And hopefully everyone received their treasurer's report on Sunday. The report is through September 30th. The highlights are for the cash balances at the end of September. Our cash reflects $1,324,612. And there is a cash balance summary that shows you the breakout of that by account. The highlights for the month of September transactions for based on the summary by fund for our Federal CARES Act revenues. After doing the September report on expenditures, the remaining balance of the CARES Act is $7,750.03. And I have that report sent to Fairfax County today. We received the state fire program funds of $15,000 for FY21, which is $5,000 over what we've received in prior years. And in accordance with our agreement, those funds are being transferred to or passed through to the Fairfax County Fire Department. And we have a check that's been issued and signed for that. That'll be going out soon in accordance to the signed agreement. I did go ahead and post the interest for August 31 that was not available to record as of the last meeting, and also September 30th. We received a check from Fairfax County that I did not have any way to know what it was until today. And I got the confirmation that the check in the amount of, let's see, $1,389.50. It had been noted as sensitive information being held by DTA. And that's actually the vehicle registration fees. I just didn't get the email from them saying that that's what it was, and then I would have known, but I got that clarified by, email to a few different people, but so that's what that is. So I'll get that corrected and in the books, and it will be reflected under vehicle registration fees. The Pink House rental, the amount received for September for the Pink House from Beljar, she has paid the full amount of $1,600 for the month of September, as has the other tenants. So that's bringing her rent back up to the full amount. Under taxes and revenues, we had Virginia car rental distribution of $599, cigarette tax of $117, state communications tax of $377, sales tax of $2,890.63 for July, and utility consumption tax of $121. We also received the June sales tax, which is of course accrued to FY20. So it's not reflected on this report, but will be on the final FY20 report. The contractual expenses included Community Hall Electric in the amount of $525 for the month of August. Legal fees of $1,875 that were booked in September, but for August. The railroad siding rental of $100. The Pink House maintenance repairs of $3,000. And the COVID-19 legal of $125 for August, and COVID-19 Zoom expenditures of $288.66 for August. Mowing of $750 and trash collection of $523 that covered July and August. Under the Capital Improvement Fund revenues, in August, we received the payment for the Special Projects Committee invoice number 13. And that will probably end up getting booked to last fiscal year, because I'm assuming that invoice was for reimbursement for last fiscal year transactions. But I'll verify that with the auditor when I meet with them. Under the Capital Improvement Fund expenses, the expense there reflects the HVAC replacement on the Pink House in August. And those expenses will be capitalized and depreciated annually when we go through our audit at the end of the year. Other notes are, I already mentioned the COVID balance remaining. Let's see. We have the draft audited financial statements for FY19 that were sent out with the report. And I'm happy to make a couple highlights on that if it would be helpful to you. I know you haven't had a lot of time to review it. I might just point out that the first section is it's basically the balance sheet, and it's showing total assets of 2.3 million, total liabilities of 18,000, and a net position of $2,328,691, which is, it's a very good report. The next section is basically giving the, on page 9, you have the statement of revenues and expenses and the fund balance at the end of the year. Revenues of 313,000, expenses of 273,000, and excess funds or an increase in our fund balance of $40,062. So the fund balance at the end of the year was 1.2 million. Following that is a section which it's a summary of significant accounting policies and notes related to significant things that have occurred during the fiscal year. That section is helpful just to read through so you can kind of get a scope of what an audit's about. And then the last section is supplemental information that's required for municipalities, which is basically giving the revenues and expenses compared to the budgets, similar to what we look at when we are doing our financial reviews every month. So that's the draft for the FY19 audit that's presented for approval if you're comfortable approving it tonight.
My thought is we'd wait till next month. Everybody's had it for 2 days. I don't know if everyone has had a chance to go through it. I have not.
Okay.
I appreciate the extra time.
Yeah, find a table.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll let our auditors know and they'll resend those additional letters that we'll need to sign with a different date on them. So just so you know, Bill.
Who will be signing them? I will, and you will?
Yeah, we'll be signing them, basically stating when we approve them,
Okay.
when they're approved and ready for them to move forward.
Yeah, and
Okay.
next month, which will be Wednesday, November 4th, is the logical time.
Okay, okay, we'll do it then. That shouldn't
Okay.
be. The last note I just wanted to mention also for November is that we have 2 of the United Bank 7-month no penalty CDs are going to be maturing on November 17th. And so we need to look at how we want to, whether we want those to roll forward or whether we want to do something different for those. So that'll be coming up for next month.
Okay, come prepared with the current rates
I will.
for different dates there.
Yeah.
And based on that, we'll probably roll it into something at United Bank again, but we'll just see what the rates are, recognizing the rates will be whatever they are the day it rolls, but
Right.
that'll give us
I'll
something.
do that. Be happy to do that.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I got something from United Bank that they wanted me to sign. I don't know what it is.
It's the signature cards that adds Pat's signature
Okay,
onto the forms.
all right.
I was able to open it real easy and put the signature on.
I expect we have a firewall issue on my firm computer because it just didn't work.
Okay.
So we'll have to talk about what to do with that. I don't know if that can be done with a piece of paper or something.
Okay.
So we'll look at that.
Well, hopefully, I think yours will be the last signature, so he may be able to just print out what he has with the other signatures already on it, and then you'll just be able to sign it and I can scan it back, hopefully.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, I have the engagement letter that we had approved earlier. That I just need you to sign it and then we can send it into Andy
Okay, and
for FY20 audit. Because we'll need to get that
okay,
scheduled.
we'll coordinate on doing that. I'm happy to sign it.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the treasurer's report as presented.
Second,
Okay, any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next is citizens' remarks. We have no citizens' remarks of the general category. On to committees, planning commission.
The Planning Commission reviewed a number of applications yesterday. We had our meeting just yesterday, and the first one was reviewing a request for an extension of the preliminary use permit issued for construction to Daryl Poe for his home at 12604 School Street. And this is for construction of the rear corner of the house involving 2 walls, a roof, and stairs, approximately 85 square feet. It was issued on August 7th, 2018. Daryl told us construction's fairly complete except for siding, window, and door installation. He is, however, and has been experiencing contractor problems and is requesting that the preliminary use permit be extended until August 31st, 2021. The Planning Commission recommends that the preliminary use permit be extended on the same terms and conditions.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the recommendation of the planning commission that the preliminary use permit for 12604 School Street be extended to August 31, 2021 on the same terms and conditions.
Or just quick correction, it's 12640, 12640.
Oh, sorry, 12640, okay.
It did look weird to me. Okay. 12640. That's my motion.
Second,
All right, any discussion? Let's do roll call. Holloway, aye.
F. Ross, aye.
All aye.
Line aye.
Oh, I'll abstain.
Okay, next.
Next item is our review of a request for the extension of the preliminary use permit dated April 3, 2018 from Reed Hall at 12725 Clifton Heights Lane. The preliminary use permit had authorized construction pursuant to an approved plan of development, which involved construction of a pool, retaining walls, deck, fence, and patio that together comprised in excess of 10,000 square feet in land disturbing activity. The applicant told us everything is completed except for the pool railing and the heater for the pool and the gas line hookup. And there's been delay on the gas line hookup with the gas company. And also, since it's now October, they were not clear whether the pool itself with the heater and the railing could be finalized before spring. And they can't get the final permit until the pool is completed. So the applicant was requesting an extension until May 31st, 2021 for the preliminary use permit upon the same terms and conditions. The Planning Commission recommended the extension be granted.
Okay. I will make a motion to approve the recommendation of the Planning Commission that the preliminary use permit for 12725 Clifton Heights Lane be extended until May 31, 2021.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed, abstentions? Okay,
And just so that the council knows, both of these extensions involve construction that is pretty well fairly completed. So it's not that during the past 2 years, nothing was done. For example, in the one that the plan of development was reviewed, most of the permits have already been issued and it's ready to go, except for the final one. The next item the Planning Commission reviewed was the use permit application of Anthony Reed for his accounting firm. Last month, the Planning Commission reviewed the application and except for lacking the necessary parking, which at that time did not exist at Clifton House, would have recommended the application for approval. And the application involves 384 net square feet of space in Suite 113 and 210. And it's an accounting business. Mr. Reed would therefore, because it's a commercial office use, be required to have 2 parking spaces, 1 for every 220 net square feet. Presently, there are actually 63 on-site parking spaces. And since Wheelhouse Yoga has indicated as of October 1st in writing that it will be vacating its space at Clifton House, it frees up additional parking spaces. So at this time, there is enough parking to allocate Mr. Reed the additional space he needs. He has an existing use permit. That 1 space had previously been allocated, so this would be his 2nd parking space because of the expansion in his office space. So at this time, the Planning Commission would recommend the use permit be approved upon the terms set forth in the use permit, with the allocation of 2 parking spaces at that location.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the recommendation of the Planning Commission to issue a use permit to Anthony Reed for 12644 Chapel Road, Suite 113 and 210, upon the terms set forth therein, including the allocation of 2 parking spaces.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed, abstentions? All right, what's next?
Just so the council knows, the Planning Commission intends to notify the owner of Clifton House that we are not going to do or consider any further applications until we get a complete list of tenants and the exact spaces that they occupy. I mean, we have heard from present tenants that the listing of the suite numbers that we had been provided apparently has changed. Whether they decreased or increased, we really don't know, but we need an accurate list of both tenants, the suites that they're presently in, and the square footage of the suites, because what we have now is clearly not accurate. That was it for applications. Oh, the Planning Commission also discussed, and I'm sure Amanda's going to talk about this under zoning administrator, but 7184 Clifton Road, besides the ARB issues, apparently the owner of the building has indicated in his last meeting with our zoning administrator that the grading and the retaining walls have changed on the property, and from what they were in the plan of development that was agreed upon at that time, and approved by both the town and the town engineer. We also understand, and we've been informed, that the house is sold and the closing is occurring apparently tomorrow. Now, Amanda can go into whether there's a certificate of occupancy that's been issued. My understanding is the county has not issued it. And our recommendation as Planning Commission, when the council gets to that, when Amanda makes her full presentation, would be that we do everything possible to make sure that certificate of occupancy is not issued until the present owner deals with all of these different issues, both before the ARB and the Planning Commission. And we can actually make a determination that what's been built there and what is going to exist and what's being sold is in either accordance with the original plan of development or with the revised approved plan of development. The next item is the Planning Commission had voted to hold a public hearing, which we wanted to do as soon as possible, on the zoning changes required by DEQ with respect to our Chapter 11 in our town code. Since the town council will be holding its meeting on the Wednesday, the first Wednesday in November, if the council wants to do a joint public hearing, that would certainly work out. We polled our members and we will have a quorum on that evening, so we could do a joint public hearing. I don't imagine that it would be a lengthy public hearing. I mean, they're fairly minor changes to chapter 11 and pretty pro forma and unlikely to engender any sort of controversy. So I'll leave that to the town council, whether your preference is to do a joint public hearing or not. If not, we'll hold our planning commission public hearing at our October meeting. So depending on what the council decides, we can either do one in October at our meeting and then the town council can schedule one, or we can do a joint one in November. Finally, the planning, Amanda circulated copies of changes to the town code enforcement provisions in chapter 9 to the planning commission members, who will review them and hopefully have a review also completed by its October meeting. And that's for planning commission business.
Can I ask a question, Kath or Amanda?
Mhm.
Where did that come from? Where did the proposed amendments come from? I haven't reviewed it fully, but within the first page, I noticed that it was talking about the town manager.
Yeah, that was Amanda. Amanda drafted that. And that was taken from the town of Herndon ordinance. Obviously, a lot of corrections need to be made, but many of the smaller town ordinances have that format. And Amanda just chose the town of Herndon. She made some changes, whatever. So it's very rough. I think the idea is to make sure we make all the necessary changes. We have the necessary violations all listed, and decide what sort of, monetary fines you want to be imposing.
And would those changes be made by the planning commission? Who's doing the drafting, I guess is my question.
Well,
This is on the agenda later,
Oh, okay.
but we can talk about it now. But let's talk about what's going on. So currently, it's a rather cumbersome process to levy civil fines on people by the town. And in fact, the way it works is you have to actually get a criminal misdemeanor conviction and then issue fines, which is a difficult standard and something we don't want to do. We don't want people who didn't mow their grass to be found guilty of a criminal misdemeanor. So I spoke to Maureen and she said most jurisdictions have a menu of fines directly hardwired into their code, where there's something in the code that says you cannot do X.
Mhm.
So there's something that's not okay. And then in the menu, it says, if you do the thing that's not okay, the jurisdiction can fine you up to X dollars. And then everybody's on notice that they could be fined by X dollars if they put up a sign that is not approved or illegal, if they build a structure, whatever. And everyone's on notice. And then if it happens, instead of going through a big rigmarole, if we, the council, are satisfied that we have facts demonstrating this has happened, we just start levying the fines, $100 a day or whatever, which presumably gets people's attention more quickly than some other things. So that's the idea. Now, how do you start? Now, Amanda had done another example that I actually like better. I'll have to go back and find it. Amanda, the one you did the first time. And Amanda did another one here where she just went and grabbed somebody's thing with the menu.
Okay.
In this case, it's Herndon, and said, here you go, guys. It's really long. They have stuff in there that probably doesn't apply to us. So what should we be doing? What we should be doing is the planning commission should look at this going, what kind of things come up on a regular basis for the planning commission? Let's circle those, make sure we have those or tweak the language. And the ARB likewise should look at this and go, what kind of things come up from an ARB perspective, and circle those, say, let's get those on the list. And we should look at it ourselves for the same purpose. And then we'll have some reduced list that'll be the Clifton list that we'll put in. Once we have that list and we go, yeah, this looks like the right list, it doesn't have to be exhaustive. or anything that could ever happen, but what looks like the stuff that comes up all the time or we expect might come up. When we have that, I'll run it past Maureen, say, Maureen, does this look right? And then we'll put it in. So this is about sensitizing everybody, you know, that this is going on, and having the planning commission, the ARB, and us look at it. Really will be a group effort, and then ultimately through the town attorney to make sure it's right. But it'll give us a much better and much more flexible enforcement tool. It'll probably take 3 or 4 months to get it all looked at, all drafted up, and go through legal review and public hearing and all that. This is just the kickoff.
Steve,
Okay.
Steve asked to the how. One of the things is both the town ordinance and the state code requires the planning commission to make recommendations to the town council before any revisions or changes are made to the zoning code. So this is part of it.
Does it need to be that specific, or can it just be reduced to something like violations of the zoning ordinance X?
Right.
You have to have a point by point.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you can always have the whole very vague, if you violate the zoning ordinance, we'll fine you as we deem fit. And that will require us to go to court and establish that, because nobody knows what it is. No one's on notice. So the whole idea of this approach is anyone can pick up the code and go, I know that if I don't get approval for a sign and I put it up, I am subject to $100 a day fine. No question. And then it's easy to implement and the courts will uphold it, as opposed to something where we just kind of say, you know, I know you didn't know, but we think you can't do X and the fine is $8,000 a day or something. That's a different standard. So there will be things like that, but this is intended to provide notice to people so they know what it is, and to make it easy for the stuff that comes up regularly.
And as far as I'm thinking about this, our intent is not to generate revenue with this policy. It's to have an easier and faster way to obtain compliance with our guidelines. Because I think at this point, like, it's pretty common knowledge that enforcement is terrible on stuff like this. And I don't think that that inspires people to comply.
Yeah, no, this would be used to put people on notice that we're serious about things and what they are. And B, when a very specific thing comes up where it's unquestionably a violation, and we've asked and asked, and the people won't comply or just ignoring us, then we have this tool to say, you know, we really mean it. And so this would be used like as a third level effort. We would talk, we would try, we would send letters, we would send more letters. And finally, when we're exasperated, we would have this available as a tool. And we ran into this in past things where we wanted to go down this path and we were ready to, but it was just more cumbersome. So this is simpler, but to Daryl's point, because it's simple, it doesn't mean we would expect people to be fishing around in the code for ways to go after their neighbors and raise some revenues for the town. This is something that will be withheld only for when it's needed. But when it does come up, whoever it's against won't say, I had no idea. Okay. And Pat, I asked that exact question of our attorney about could we do something general instead of having to have this. Now, that means you could have 300 items trying to guess every imaginable scenario. You're never going to guess them all. What we're going to do is we're going to have 20 things that'll be the kind of things we expect will come up and that we know and that we see. And we can always add more later if something new comes up. But, you know, noise violations, whatever.
Schedule of common fines.
Right on. Yep. Okay, so that's that. On the joint, I'd like to have a joint public hearing on the changes for the Virginia DEQ agreement. The council's already seen those. The council's already blessed them, so they can be advertised. And they're pretty straightforward. I don't expect a lot of comment. And I would like to make a motion that we have a joint public hearing of the town council and the planning commission on the Virginia DEQ agreement zoning ordinance changes on Wednesday, November 4th.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions. Amanda, can you take care of advertising or whatever on that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. As you know, just to refresh everybody, public hearings have to be publicly advertised through a newspaper of reasonably read circulation. So make sure you read the whatever it is we advertise in paper. And then we have a public hearing where it's our role to listen to people, not engage, not discuss, not have a dialogue. Just it's a forum, a formalized forum for people to give us comments on this. I don't expect a lot on this, but that's what it's for. And then when it's done, then we can take into account what they've said in approving it, which will probably be nothing. Okay. That's planning commission.
That's right, that's it.
Okay, zoning administrator.
And add a little more detail to what Kathy just provided for 7184 Clifton Road. As far as the rear retaining wall, as Kathy mentioned, the slope in the backyard has been regraded. The property builder is required to submit a revised grading plan to the county, but he's been revised or advised by us that he needs to first submit that to the planning commission for review. And according to the last official letter that we sent to him on September 3rd, the deadline for his submission is October 15th. And I've been in contact with him about that. And I expect that he will submit by the deadline.
Okay.
As far as the ARB violations are concerned, I think Royce might want to go into more detail about that. The meeting seemed very productive to me, but there's a long list of things that they went through line by line. So I'll leave that part to Royce.
Okay.
And then I don't really have any updates on any other projects or permits right now.
Okay. Can move to the architectural review board.
Voice is muted if we can help him.
Yeah, Royce is muted.
Unmute. Am I there?
Yeah.
We got
Okay.
you, bud.
I've had some difficulties today I got booted out like 5 minutes ago and had to scramble for my laptop. ARB had a meeting on Thursday, the 25th or 4th. I forget which day that was. We had two things that we had one application, and it was the 7184 Clifton Road. Going back in time, you're probably familiar with, there were violations that we had a meeting at the site, noted the violations, notified the owner what they were, and we finally had a meeting with him to review those and try to find some resolution to those violations. There's 10 in total. I'll go ahead and go through them quickly just so that everybody's up to speed. The first one on the list is the front retaining walls had a vinyl fence for a guardrail. We wanted that vinyl fence removed. The original COA called for a metal guardrail at that location. This is along the driveway. We chose metal because it's less visible from the street. Mr. Guglielmi has agreed to install the guardrail as per the original COA. The siding width and finish, he was required to use a 5-inch exposure smooth cement fiber siding. He used a 7-inch wood grain finish. The ARB has agreed to allow that siding to remain. Based on the location of the property, its proximity is not very visible from the proper town of Clifton or from the street. So we felt like instead of requiring him to go to the expense of tearing all the siding off the house and replacing it, we would accept that. The porch railing was a vinyl rail. The owner has agreed to replace that with a wood rail similar to the design of the original approved COA. The front door with side lights, his original drawings did not show side lights on his front door. What he installed is a fiberglass front door. It looks like wood, especially from a distance. And he's got one side lot on each side that's got the faux leaded glass with some sort of vine leaf design in it. We agreed to allow the fiberglass door to stay in place because once again, the visibility from the street is almost non-existent. But he's going to replace the side lights with clear or frosted glass. The window grids in the windows, they are currently what we call a 6/1. So it's a double hung window. There's 6 panes in the top sash and no grill in the bottom sash. We had called for a 6/6 or a 2/2, which is more prevalent in the town. While we were discussing it, we also noticed on the photographs that the grill is between the glass. It's called GBG, which is not allowed in the town. So he has agreed to apply an exterior grill, but keep the 6/1 grill pattern. The rear retaining wall, that's been discussed a little bit, it got reduced from 6 feet down to a little bit less than 3 feet, but he did some grading. I pointed out that he would need to go to the planning commission. He'll also need to go back to the town, the county for that revision. If that retaining wall stays as it is, he will still need a guardrail because it's over 30 inches of grade change from the top to the bottom. And that would also have to be the metal rail that we approved on the original COA. The eave returns and rake trim, this is all up at the roof line where the gutter boards, where the gutters are attached and what you see on a gable end of a house. We were specific on the approved COA of the detail that he was to use, and he did not follow that detail. So he's going to remove those trim boards and do it the way that it was shown on the original COA. He's agreed to pay the $250 application fee. I wanted to put some sort of timeline on this. I'm not sure how fast he's going to move, but we put a timeline to get everything done on or before November 15th. That was going to give him almost 2 months. I wouldn't be surprised if that lingers unless he's got a sale on that house. And I did not want to give him a carte blanche to roll. I want to make sure that he complies because he hasn't in the past. So this is a preliminary certificate of appropriateness. And the process that I would like to see happen is when he finishes everything, that 2 members of the ARB will go up with him to document that everything's been done according to this agreement. And If so, at that time, we would notify Bill that he could release the hold on the residential use permit from Fairfax County. So that's the status of that. While we were in the meeting, there was a motion to address the signage in the residential areas of the town. Train's pretty close. It's going to blow one more time. Nope. The current signage regulations detailed in section 914 of the town code prohibit any signage on residential zone property other than address numbers, historic markers, real estate signage, and political campaign signage. The above exceptions are all detailed in section 914.h. Any other signage is subject to approval by the ARB. There are several examples of non-compliant signage displayed on residential zone properties. The ARB requests that the town council notify the owners of these properties to remove the signage in violation to the town code.
Quick question. Is that something the zoning administrator could do?
Yes,
It makes more sense.
yes.
Okay.
And I can help craft that letter if you need help with that, Amanda.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Okay.
I mean, in the first instance, that's the way the process typically works.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I have a problem with this because what you're saying is that the way you're reading these provisions, as you mentioned last night, as last month, as a suggestion, we're now seeming to say the ARB has the power to, on its own, determine whether something is a political sign or not. I don't think that's right. I think you're mistaken in the reading of the statute, of the provision. What's more, I think your interpretation last month was incorrect. And I think it's something that the town council has to deal with, not the ARB, in terms of saying, what is the definition of a political sign? Last month, you suggested that the way the ARB was reading it, it would have to name a candidate. But I'm here to suggest to you that, for instance, if somebody has a sign that says, "Make America Great Again," that's a political sign during a political year, during an election. And I don't think it's the ARB's job to say, well, that one isn't a political sign and this one is a political sign. Or for the ARB to be saying, well, if you put the name Biden on top of the sign that you've got on your property, then it's political, then it's okay. But if you don't have Trump's name on the sign and it says "Make America Great Again," then it's not a political sign. I don't think those are anything that the ARB should be involved in.
Well, let's move outside that. What happens when it's outside the time limits though, Steve? So you have
I'm not talking about the time limits.
Okay. So you're concerned that if it says Virginia Tech, happy Virginia Tech dad, you go, I don't think that's political. I'm good with that. But what's his latest slogan? I don't know, keep America great. And it doesn't say a name or whatever. You go, well, that seems political to me, and it'd be a little gray. And
I'm just saying, I don't think it's the ARB's job or jurisdiction to start making those types of judgments.
Well, to be fair, the ARB asked us.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay. So,
Yeah, no. What I'm saying is, if I understood what Royce just suggested, it would be that we agreed with that entire regime and that the ARB would trigger letters with Amanda's help or whatever to homeowners. And I don't think that it's the ARB that can make those types of judgments.
I took it as Royce requesting the town council to take that action.
My request said the ARB requests the town council to notify the owners. The ARB is not notifying the owners.
So the ARB would request it of the town, then the town would request a letter from Amanda to the homeowner.
Correct.
Is that what you're saying?
It would be up to us to determine whether or not we send a letter. It would be up to the council to determine if the letter gets sent.
I misunderstood that. I
Yep.
heard Royce say, yes, he would work with Amanda on this.
To
Well,
craft the letter.
I think
The-
if the council votes to send the letter, then Royce is happy to help out, I think.
Okay,
Yeah, the ARB understands that we are not the enforcement arm in any matter dealing with violations.
Well, Royce, but the statute says you are.
No, we are not.
Well, it does, I'm reading the statute. Did we change it under violations? Says shall be enforced by the Architectural Review Board, which for the purposes of section 914 is the town council's duly authorized agent.
Yep.
You know, I mean, whoever enforces, suppose it doesn't matter,
Well,
but it
and
should
this-
be done, it should be done in accordance with the statute. And this is right after the signage. And I think, I mean, I also want to point out, just so we can stick to the language of the actual ordinance, and hopefully I've got the right language. It doesn't really, it talks about political signs, but the paragraph is referring to political campaign signs. Doesn't
Exactly.
say anything. Yeah. So that's very different than just a political sign, make America great, whatever. I mean, that's only used in the context of political campaign signs. So, I mean, I'll be honest, I don't know where a political sign that's not a political campaign sign falls within the ARB signs not requiring ARB approval. I mean, I haven't read the whole statute. But
I think-
those are two things that pop up at once, that the ARB in fact is the enforcer of this section of signage, which it specifically says in here. So unless you want to change the code and make it different, but right now it's, you know, I mean, the idea is to, if you're going to enforce things, enforce them in accordance with what the zoning code says. And it
That
says the
was-
ARB needs to do it.
That was the opinion of the board member that put forth the motion, was that we either enforce the code or we don't.
Well, right, and you've got the ability to do that apparently according to section, what am I looking at? Under the signs, section 914 little I. So, you know, I mean, if somebody wants it done different, we're revising statutes. I suggest people submit their revisions, so these things can be changed. If the ARB doesn't want to be the enforcement mechanism for signs and it's the town council that wants to do all enforcement, then that needs to be changed.
well, and
right.
also there needs to be some clarification as to who does
Right.
the interpretation and judgment of what those signs are.
No, because it's not judgment, Steve. There's no mention of political signs in here. There's mention of political campaign signs.
And my argument would be that if you have a sign that says, "Make America Great Again," that
That's
is a political campaign sign.
Well, I don't know.
All right,
Yeah.
but what are
That's
the
my point.
time?
I think that's stretching it, but maybe we need
But-
some definitions.
Let's assume that's a gray area, okay? But sometime after the election's over, they have to come down.
Oh, yeah.
Even the ones that are, you know, vague, there'd be no argument it's got to come down. So what I would think is that these letters, whether they come from the town or the ARB, who could ask the zoning administrator or the ARB to itself, or ask me, whoever, okay, after the election is over and after the time period, it says like a week or right after, whatever it
days.
says.
7
What?
days.
Yeah.
7
7.
days, okay? After, on day 8, that we'd send letters out saying, take this stuff out. And the point is, we talked about this as a council, and as a council, we're like, I don't know, maybe we should have more signs. I kind of like signs. They're cool, you know, they're informative, whatever. So we sent it to the ARB, the sign mavens. And they came back and said, we hate signs. There are already too many more signs. No more signs, no more signs. And then they said, you know, the code says you can't have these signs. And even if we do the whole, maybe it's political, outside of the times of an election, it's clearly not okay.
No argument.
So these guys said, I don't like signs. So we send letters out to everybody, you know, congratulations, baby, you know, smugums or whatever, no good. as people go, I don't like that sign. So a reasonable request, I would advocate waiting till 7 days after the election, just so you don't have to bother with the whole,
I'm good with
be
that.
interpreted.
It
Okay.
wouldn't happen before then anyway.
And send them out. It's fair. Everybody will be treated equal. And we have a very big code on signs and signage and how big and where and blah, blah, blah. I know that in the residential area, people don't want a bunch of signs. And our experts have come back and said, we don't want more signs. Presumably as a council and as a body, we could say we do love signs. We're going to overrule and we're going to add new provisions allowing signs of any type or whatever. But as we sit here today, the ARB looked at it and said, you can't have these signs. So the question was asked, it's been answered. And now they'd like to tell people we're being gentle by saying, let's let this election thing play out. But after that, send out these signs. It's good with me.
That's fine with me.
Okay.
It's fine with me too. I just want at some point, if we're going to in the future have an issue about the definition of political signs, because it is the only time we do have signs.
Yep.
Or authorized signs, then it's a question for the town council, not for the ARB.
How many signs, isn't it specific on how many signs you can have?
You
Yeah.
can have 2 signs per yard.
Yep.
Or
Up
per
to,
yes,
and
per
they can be up to 8 square feet or something.
Yeah, they can be 8 square feet each,
Okay.
which
So-
is surprising.
They want to look at that too.
So, but until it changes, when we're in an election period, like during, the May Clifton election time, or what other election periods, we're going to be pretty tolerant that people can have virtually anything. I love Beanie Babies. We'll go, that's kind of for governor, whatever, and just leave it alone. But on day 8, we're going to send letters out saying, please take this stuff out.
Okay,
Good.
that's all we have at the ARB.
Okay, thank you.
Can I ask one more thing? Just sort of a follow-up to Royce's report on 7184 Clifton Road. He requested that once the ARB has inspected all of the improvements made by the builder, that they would notify the mayor to release the hold on the occupancy permit for the county. But I would like to request that instead, the zoning administrator would notify the mayor, because that way we can make sure that the planning commission has finished all of its reviews and all of those fees have been paid. And that way we'll know that on both fronts, everything is good to go.
That's fine.
Yeah.
And I read what Royce said to be, although he didn't use these exact words, that what he meant was the ARB's hold on issuing an occupancy permit would be lifted. But that doesn't mean the planning commission's hold, if there is one, would be lifted. He's just speaking for the ARB.
There's
That's
only
correct.
one hold, and it's the zoning administrator's hold
On the, okay, but
on the occupancy permit.
but the zoning administrator would be looking to both, I hope, both the ARB and the planning commission.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Yes, that's what I thought it was implied, but it wasn't expressed. So it's a good question, to be precise, on an important matter. Okay.
Okay,
Update town commission, whatever. We've done this a couple times before, but this, Amanda, presumably is to highlight a couple specific things on the town list.
The only things that are highlighted are vacancies. So presumably they could be filled by, I think the ones that we need filled need to be filled by a town council representative. Everything
Okay,
else is up to date.
let's be more specific. We need a town council representative. This is for anyone currently on the town council or who might soon be on the town council. That we need a town council representative for, number one, the planning commission. A very important role. Number two, the VML, Virginia Municipal League liaison. That's the people that do our insurance, and when we have claims, it's actually, it sounds boring. It's really important. The Virginia Cigarette Tax Board. Okay. That's something that doesn't meet very often, but they send us some money every now and then. We need a town council representative who would read the stuff from the tax board. There's something called Sully District Citizens Advisory Committee. That's the police. If someone's interested in paying attention to what the police do as it relates to us, I did this one time like 20 years ago, and there were like 60 people there or something. It didn't seem all that fulfilling to me, but we do have it. And don't let me make it sound like it's not amazing. If that's
You're pitching it really well, Bill. You're
yeah. I'm just trying to be honest. VML, it sounds boring. It's really important. Planning Commission, it too sounds boring, but it's really important. It's not boring. The Planning Commission's cool. I was the chair of the Planning Commission once upon a time. I think my memory's getting bad actually, but that's what I recall.
You could do it again too, Bill.
Yeah, exactly. We got a couple committees: parking and traffic, candlelight homes tour. Okay. And parking and traffic, that's pretty important. I'm surprised that Reagan's not doing that. You should think about it, all right?
Traffic, okay.
I mean, there's nothing to do unless an issue comes up, but when the issue does come up, then you're the person from the town on it. So just think about, but it's really Planning Commission and VML are the things that are really important. The homes tour is important, but we haven't done it for a couple years.
yeah. Who in the heck knows when we're going to be sending people into strangers' homes again?
Yes, yes. Okay, so there you have it. All right.
Wait a minute. On VML, my name is already in there.
Yeah,
I don't know why
think
it says vacant.
I think I recall Steve volunteering to take that
Yeah.
one at the last meeting. And I
Okay.
feel like somebody signed up for the planning commission as well. I just can't recall who it was.
Well, it would make an awful lot of sense on the planning commission if Patrick would return to where he just had to leave because he became elected.
Yeah,
Because he actually knows what they do.
yeah, actually, I'd be happy to go back to the planning commission if that's desirable.
Yeah, Patrick's one of the few who can actually read the development plans we get. It's very helpful.
Okay, we're making real progress here.
Yep.
I don't know. Cigarette? Anybody like cigarettes?
Where is the cigarette? board?
I like taxing them, so I guess I could do that.
Oh, Daryl, okay.
Okay, there you go. You're the cigarette tax guy. Okay, parking and traffic.
I thought Reagan was taking that.
I can do parking and traffic and paving and
Yeah,
other VDOT things.
right on. Okay. Homes tour we'll leave open until that becomes something that people are.
It can fall under events. I don't think I've never organized or chaired an event like that before, but it can fall under events as far as I'm concerned, and I chair events. So
Well, why don't we put you in as the homes tour person?
yeah, I'll be a placeholder and try to recruit somebody to run it.
Correct, exactly.
Either that or merge the two committees.
That's why I'm saying we should move the homes tour under events.
Yeah.
As an event.
Okay, and Sully District Citizens Advisory Committee, that's going to see the police every now and then. with a bunch of other people where they give a presentation or something. And it's not a required thing. Like VML, that's important. Tax board, you got to do it. This advisory committee, sort of like you go to it when.
Can the town designate someone who's not a member of the council to that?
Yeah, I think so. Yep. No reason we
I-
couldn't.
I think
I
we're
think we
looking for a recurring relationship with Silly District beyond just their periodic annual meeting or whatever, so that we can call on them for, any issues or things to discuss that happen.
I mean, I think we all kind of support a closer relationship with law enforcement, and improving understanding, et cetera. So I'm not suggesting that we don't fill that role. I'm just wondering if potentially somebody from the community rather than somebody on the council. So maybe we offer it up to the community to have a volunteer come forward if there's somebody who's interested.
And I don't mind doing it for now, Bill.
There you go.
Okay, good.
I think I've met those guys almost every weekend here with an accident on the corner, so we're getting to know them rather well.
Getting to know 'em.
Excellent. Okay, done. Good job.
Can I please just remind everybody to please try to help us recruit a member for the BZA?
Oh, BZA, right.
You can see on the roster, we're required to have 3, 5, or 7 members, and that's by state code. And we currently have 4. So we need to get to one of those odd numbers.
So we either need to fire somebody or hire
Yeah,
somebody.
fire somebody.
Exactly. Okay. All right, BZA, looking for the BZA, and it can't be us.
I'll do BZA.
Yeah.
I can do BZA if you want.
I don't think it can be a
Unfortunately, you-
member of the council. Yeah.
Can't be a member of the town council.
It can't be one of us.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing. So we're looking for someone that isn't us.
Yeah, it's an appeal body, right? It's a body that is appealed to off of the council.
Yeah, that's right.
Mandy, could you read who's on it currently?
We have Brant Baber as chair. We have Marilyn Stoney, William Ridenauer, and Jeff Stein.
We have 9 folks attending. I wonder if anyone in the audience wants to raise their hand.
Well, they can anyone can let Amanda know that they'd like to be on this important and prestigious appellate body. That doesn't meet often, but when it does meet, boy, it's really something. Okay, ready to move on?
Yep.
Okay, vacancy on the town council. Council appointment of a new council member. This is fulfilling the unexpired term of Melissa Milne, what's left in her term. Melissa went off the council effective September 15th. So last month we put out a notice and told people, anyone who's interested, send us a notice of intention that you'd like to be considered and qualifications. So we at one point had 4 people, and we've had 2 of them actually withdraw. And Bethany withdrew earlier today for a number of reasons, including to provide one of the other candidates a better opportunity to be on the council and to succeed at that, which I thought was very gracious of Bethany to do. And I know Bethany's very busy with many other things. Okay, so we have two people who put their name forward, and we're going to ask them to speak in the order that they signed up to speak. So the two people are Lynn Screen, who lives at 7211 Main Street, and Mona Harrington, who lives on Chapel Street. And Lynn will speak, and then Mona will speak, and then we'll discuss it. I will start out by saying that both candidates and all the candidates that at one point were considering running for the council are incredibly qualified. They're all women. They're all incredibly qualified. And, any of them could make significant contributions to the council. And as has always been the case, and was the case last time, where we had one opening and 3 people who were interested, even if everybody's awesome and everybody's qualified, we can only pick one for right now. But to some extent, it's like training wheels, to be able to try it out and see how it works. And then we will have an election not too far away. And that individual, if they're liking it, and other individuals who might have been interested, everybody can run. People will know them a little better in this role. And there will be more opportunities, always are, going forward. So for now, it's one position. We have very qualified candidates, but we're going to give them an opportunity to speak for approximately 3 minutes, starting with Lynn Screen.
All right, good evening, everybody. Mayor Holloway and council members. I'm Lynn Screen. I live at 7211 Main Street. And thanks so much for considering my letter of intent to serve as a council member. When I heard that Melissa was vacating her position, it became very clear to me that her replacement should be a woman. So I have to say that I'm thrilled that several women have shown interest in filling her position, really demonstrating that there's indeed an interest from women to shape the community in this capacity. I've lived in Clifton for almost 3 years with my husband, Andrew, and my 2 children, Sienna, who's 7, and Marlon, who's 4. We moved to Clifton in 2017 from DC and then Arlington to really be closer to the woods for our kids to play in, the running trails, and also a slower pace of life. Ironically, for the first 2 years that we lived here, we spent our days in DC and our mornings and our evenings getting to and from work. So during those days when we were really burning the candle at both ends, we would volunteer when we could. And when we did, we witnessed the same faces in the planning meetings and leading and running all of the different events. And it was then that we made a commitment that that we would step forward in a greater capacity once our lives slow down. And then March of 2020 happened. So now we have the good fortune of being in town all the time, really. So in addition to wanting to serve the community that gives so much to our family, I also have a lot to bring to the table as a council member. Professionally, I began my career in the Air Force, and I transitioned into the field of education. And for the last 15 years, I've held leadership positions in education, and currently work in Georgetown University in the Institute for Transformational Leadership. The work that we do at Georgetown is all about training leaders and practitioners to use what they have, their unique gifts and qualities, to be able to build stronger organizations and communities. And as a leader myself, I'm known for my ability to turn big ideas into reality, my knack for solving problems when emotions are high, and also my gift to see the best in everybody. So as a council member, I'll bring forward these unique perspectives as a leader, as a woman, and as a mother to really strengthen Clifton and all that binds us together as a community, and then also openly examine the issues in areas where we may disagree. So with that, I will thank you for your consideration for the position as council member.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If anyone has any clear, obvious questions, feel free, but that wasn't really the plan. But if anyone has any burning questions, good. Okay. All right. And then Mona Harrington is next.
Let's make sure we help Mona get unmuted.
Yeah.
We're working on it.
There she
There we
goes.
Or not.
She disappeared. Oh, there you are.
Back and unmuted.
All right. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Good evening, Mayor Holloway, Vice Chair Efros, and Town Council members McDonald, Klein, and Poe. As you all know, my name is Mona Harrington, and I'm here today to briefly outline my interest and qualifications for the Town Council vacancy. I truly believe that the strongest communities are anchored in spirit of collaboration. I have the skills and experience to connect various segments of our community to discover shared objectives and work together towards finding innovative yet attainable solutions. Having had the honor to work as a public servant for 18 years in the federal government, and of that time I spent 12 years in senior executive nonpartisan leadership roles, serving stakeholders throughout the United States, I have the governance experience to provide an equitable and valuable service to my community. In an age where misinformation is rampant, exacerbated by a global pandemic, we are indeed in unique and challenging times. My distinctive and extensive background in government, management, security, and IT can be beneficial when making challenging decisions to serve our residents during this time. As a proud homeowner in town, I also believe I have a wide perspective and understanding of our community. I have volunteered in this town for numerous events during the last decade. My family and I have strong relationships in this town, and many residents we consider a part of our extended family. This town is my child's playground, and watching him grow up here surrounded by the kindness and vigilance when other parents call me to remind me to tell Jack to look both ways when biking down Chapel Street makes me passionate about serving the town. We must retain our small town values, our historic character and scenic beauty and sense of community, yet allow our businesses to thrive through cooperation, transparency, and upholding the laws that govern our town. We need both strong leaders and committed citizens to build and enhance this mutually beneficial relationship. The body I'm addressing today has the power to pass and enforce all laws, rules, regulations, and ordinances they deem necessary for the good governance of the place I call home. That includes the management of its property, the conduct of its affairs, the peace, order, comfort, convenience, morals, health, and protection of the residents and their property. In doing so, the residents of the town must maintain the highest trust and confidence in their elected officials and be assured all decisions made are guided by decisions that are in the best interest of the town of Clifton. I'm committed to serve alongside all of you I'm addressing today. I'm also interested in learning more about the current challenges and both the short and long-term vision of the town. I recognize the good people of our town council are volunteers and regularly work diligently for all the town residents to make Clifton a lovely place to live. Relationships and initiatives can and should reach beyond town limits, and I feel with my skill set, I can help facilitate this. I'm a leader. I listen. I'm connected to our community. I bring an all-embracing community perspective. I'm a hard worker. I perform the due diligence required before making decisions. I'm passionate and take action to get things done. Thank you all for the opportunity to offer a brief statement for your consideration. Please don't hesitate to ask me questions should you require any clarification from me. Thank you.
Thank you. Council members, again, any particular questions that you have? Okay, very good. We'll move into deliberation. What we've done in the past ultimately is to make a motion for one of the candidates and then act. But before we do anything, I just want to say how impressed I am with the candidates that we have and how blessed we are to have two people before us who are so accomplished and so capable and care so much about the community. You know, they're both the kind of people that it would be great to have as part of the council at some point. But for better or for worse, there was only one Melissa. There's only one Melissa. And with her gone, there's one position available, not two. The next election will be rolling around in not too long. And so there will be an opportunity for both to run for council next time. And we know there's always people rolling off of the council as well. So that opportunity and the ability to contribute and the ability to watch and get ready to contribute will be there for both candidates. But we can only appoint one because there's only one position. In other situations where things like this have occurred, one of the things we've looked at is giving people, I used to watch Wayne Nickham do this, give people the opportunity to experience what it's like to be in a position, whether it's vice mayor or joining the council or whatever, for a period of time so they can see what they think and how they can contribute. As I said, we can't pick both. We have to pick one. They're both highly accomplished, highly qualified, and both bring a tremendous amount to the table, but we can only pick one. My proposal would be that we make, I would like to make a motion to appoint Lynn Screen to the town council to fulfill the unexpired term of Melissa Mill. I'm making that as a motion if there's a second.
I'd second.
Okay. Discussion, as I've said, great candidates. One of the things with Lynn is because she's been here for 3 years and because she's younger, unfortunately, I'm getting older. And Steve, I mean, wow. We need to look for new blood, and we need to get new blood excited. I know that Lynn and her husband have brought friends into the community too. I'd like to take this short period, the unexpired term of Melissa Milne, to possibly show the next generation, the young blood of the community, that this is something they can do and send a signal that they're welcome, and try to get them involved in the leadership of the town. I think this is an easy way to reach out to that new generation, new cohort, which is just, from succession planning, one of the things we should be doing. And then when we get to the next election, Mona and Lynn, if they're still interested, and any of us, by the way, same thing, we can all run, but we'll have more people with more real world experience and send the message. So that's the thinking behind this. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Not that any is needed.
Yeah, I'd like to comment on this, Bill. I agree with you that we had some incredible people standing up and saying they were willing to run. And I think that all of them are doing important things right now. I think Lynn is doing an important thing in that she has stood up as part of the, if I agree with you, the younger generation, and said it's time for the younger generation to start dealing in Clifton and doing the work and taking over from us, frankly, which I think is a good thing. I also think it's a very good thing and a very important thing, and probably the most important thing, that Lynn is focused on consensus, that's her specialty, that's her training, that's what she trains other people in terms of leadership and consensus. And that's what we need on the town council, and that's what we need in Clifton. I think Mona is doing an incredibly important thing right now, dealing with the elections and voting. And we all know that voting is going to be a major issue for some time to come. And she's become one of the experts, the national experts on that. And I don't think her expertise is just going to be ignored after this election is over. I think we're going to be dealing with the question of voting for the next several years. So I would like to see her continue in the great work that she's doing and not distract from that. And in terms of Bethany, I appreciate that Bethany stood back and recognized and suggested that Lynn appeared to be the appropriate choice right now, seeking consensus in Clifton. And I think that Bethany, as we all know, is the head of the Racial Justice Committee, is incredibly well organized and doing a great job. And I think we will have that on our agenda a little bit later. And I don't want to lose her in that context. So I think all three of them are doing great things, and we have them all in great positions to move forward. And that's why I would support Lynn for the town council.
Great, thank you. Yeah, all three making significant contributions. Any other discussion before we vote?
I just want to echo the same remarks that it's the same thing happened when Melissa stepped forward. We had 3 very high quality candidates, and it's a high quality problem to have. As a community, we're blessed, and I hope that everyone who put their names forward to fill this role will remain involved and engaged in the work of the council even if they're not filling a seat. And I look forward to getting to know them all better.
Great. Okay. All right, we'll do a roll call vote. The motion's been made and seconded. Roll call vote, Holloway, aye.
Efros, aye.
Poe, aye.
Line nay.
Okay. With that, Lynn Screen has been appointed for the unexpired term. And Lynn will not be able to vote until she is sworn in by the clerk, and Amanda is working on that. It's pretty quick, pretty easy, but it needs to be done. But obviously Lynn can watch what we're doing and participate. So it'll be interesting. I want to loop back on something that Amanda chastised me about, which is these appointments for the various committees. We actually need to do them. So I'm going to make a motion to appoint Patrick Klein to the Planning Commission, appoint Steve Efros as the VML liaison, appoint Daryl Poe as the Virginia Cigarette Tax Board representative, appoint Reagan McDonald as the Sully District Citizens Advisory Committee liaison representative, appoint Reagan McDonald as the Town Council representative on the Parking and Traffic Committee, and appoint Daryl Poe as the Town Council representative on the Clifton Candlelight Christmas Homes Tour Committee.
Second.
There you go.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed, abstentions. Okay, great. All right, and now we're on to the next thing. The next thing is, decision on renaming the town park, Harriet and William Harris Park. We've gone through this in a very methodical way to introduce the idea, get comments on the idea, and then approve the idea, which is why now that we're here, it feels like we almost already did this, but we wanted to plant the seeds so everybody knew what was going on, educate everyone as we did at the last couple meetings, give everybody an opportunity to discuss it. I know Donna Netchard and others talked to everyone that lives around the park and people on Chapel Street and other people, and gave people an opportunity to talk about it. And the general feedback was very positive, very supportive. And one of the reasons is that what this is about is the history of Clifton, and a piece of Clifton's history that has just been somewhat overlooked. By the way, there are others, and that'll be coming to a theater near you. The towns tended to focus very deeply on history from certain pieces, but here's a time in our history that goes directly to the founding of the town that's extremely important, that we just haven't really focused on, and we should. it's a great story, and it's a really cool story and a really compelling story. So with all of that background, there was a lot of work as to what exactly would the name be and which names and in which order and all that. Probably could have done it a few different ways, but when the dust settled, the proposal is to rename the Clifton Town Park Harriet and William Harris Park for all the reasons we've discussed before. And we would change the sign from what currently I think says literally Clifton Town Park would now say this. And at some point, when people can get together and we don't have the whole COVID thing going, we'd probably have a park naming ceremony where we'd have people come out, speakers come out, people who are part of the African-American community, the Black community that grew up in Clifton, that are descendants of people that grew up in Clifton would come out. I've spoken to many of them. They're very excited about this. They think it's great, but they don't want to come out to a big high five party in the park yet. So we do want to do this, but I'd like to go ahead and get this done. So we've had a lot of background, a lot of work, a lot of soil's been tilled. And now finally, I'd like to make a motion to rename the Clifton Town Park where the gazebo is located. Rename the town park to Harriet and William Harris Park.
Second.
All right, motion is second. Any discussion that, now that we haven't discussed this ad nauseum, which I think means to the point of nausea, but anything else?
Just to add, Bill, that we are also going to be looking at ultimately putting appropriate signage in to explain this history and so on.
Absolutely. Thanks for that point. So we'd be putting in a wayside marker that would tell the story, because anybody that reads this will go, who's that? Who are those people? And there will be the story. That'll be awesome. But what we didn't want to do was hold up renaming until that sign is done. And it will also tell the people working on the sign, and Margot will play a key role in that, as she always does with our historical information signs, Margot Khosravi. It will signal to her and the others working on it that their efforts will in fact be going into a sign that will be going up, instead of prior to this, hypothetically, we might do a sign. They'll know that this is a worthwhile effort and they'll really focus. I've seen Steve Jones is contributing to this as well. I've seen some proofs and examples. We talked about ideas. It's going to be really, really cool. So this is the first step. Then we'd have the other sign, and then we'd have a big ceremony at some point down the road. Any other comments?
Needs to. There we go. Whoops.
Oh.
She was.
Pat, are you trying to unmute?
No, I'm good. I'm just, Amanda needs to.
Trying to.
There
Oh.
we go.
I was wondering if the council would consider drafting and passing some sort of resolution or proclamation to commemorate your motion tonight. That would explain in more detail the history of Harriet and William Harris that has been uncovered and explained to everybody over the past couple of months.
I would certainly entertain such a thing, but we don't have one in front of us. What you're really getting at, and I'll tell you where this is coming from. Amanda's been reading minutes from the town council from like the 1900 till now. And some of what's in those minutes is just fascinating, okay? But let me give you a perfect example, Chapel Street was originally called Harris Street. I know you guys know this, okay? In 1964 and 1965, it was changed to Chapel Street from Harris Street. There are rumors as to why, but if you read the minutes, it just says we're approving the change. You don't know why, you don't know what. And so in Amanda's mind, which I'm reading right now and channeling, she's thinking, later, if people read what happened here, they might want to know, what was that all about? What's going on? And there it would be in the historical documents. I think that's great. I think we could do it. There's probably a Latin term for later, that we would approve the name now, and we would adopt a resolution explaining the name change, you know, maybe next month or something, as to who they are, because we know it's on YouTube, but we ought to have it in a resolution. I think that's a great idea. I'm sure that you and, you know, somebody like Steve Jones or whatever could probably put something together, or Margot. Yes, I'd be very happy to entertain that, but I don't want to hold up renaming the park because I want that behind us. Any other comments?
I just think the, you know, the event or the ceremony is really a great opportunity, just that we, you know, think about that, select, you know, an appropriate date or tie it in with something else that's going on, or make it a big deal. It's got a great potential to be a, you know, just a fantastic event for the town.
Yeah.
I don't know if the naming happens now and then there's a formal, you know, ceremony sometime in the future, or is the unveiling actually, are we looking at a short-term, you know, near-term thing? I don't know how we would do that the way that we would like to do it. So maybe it's Clifton Day a year from now or something. I don't know, but
Yeah, my guess is it's next summer, like even next June, I don't know, 19th, or just pick a day.
Memorial Day or June 19th. Yeah.
June
that would-
2nd, yeah.
Juneteenth, yeah.
And you can have something done and then have the ceremony for it later. I'll use an example. They remodeled the Union Mill giant grocery store. All of you have been to, but my wife's laughing. But a few weeks later, I went out there and gave a speech for the reopening, and I got huge scissors and cut through a ribbon. It was awesome. I've always wanted to do the big ribbon thing, but it was actually after. And I gave a speech about the importance of the workers in the delicatessen area. It was awesome. But that's just a side note. That was after the fact. So this would be after the fact. It would be better to do it, Reagan, just as you said, do it right, think about it, tie it into something else. But, you know, let's get it done, get it behind us, and let the world know this has gone on. But the official ceremony would be a little later. And I'll tell you this, during this COVID-19 thing, we won't be the only one. In fact, there's probably going to be a jam of all these things that are going to be going on once all this stuff is done. So great idea. Thank you. Anything else? All right. Important moment in our history recorded by them. Very uninteresting motion that we'll have to elaborate on later. But we've got a motion in a second, and we'll do a roll call. Holloway, aye.
F. Ross, aye.
Donald, I.
Poe, aye.
Fine, aye.
Pretty cool. All right, that's something special. And what's interesting about it is we spent enough time doing this, talking about it, making sure anyone who was paying attention was aware of it. So it feels a little anticlimactic because we did it the right way, but that's what you want. Very, very good, very important, very exciting.
I can say that the members of the committee that worked so hard on all of the research and all of the work that went into this are ecstatic with the council's actions tonight. And it may feel anticlimactic for some, but for many, it's a culmination of weeks and weeks and weeks of hard work and diligent research. And I would just want to thank my fellow council members for supporting the motion.
Well, I'd go one step farther. I think the creation of the committee was critical. I mean, we've had somebody in town, Margot, who has been working on this for years, and got the boost over the final hump because a committee was put together that did the remaining work that needed to be done. And I think everybody should be congratulated for that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, a lot of people had a role in putting this together. And you know what? That's what community is all about. And that's where we've been, And that's where we're looking to stay in the future, which is a community where everybody contributes. And we look at things like this that are for the community's interest, and we all work together. And I'll tell you, there were times when there were heated debates over what happened in a 1892 court case that I had with Margot and a couple other people reading this stuff. You know, like people were very intense on this, very emotional, worked very hard, just as Daryl said, but ultimately came together, worked together to come up with a consensus position. It's just the way it ought to work. It's something everyone should be very proud of. Moving on from that to hand sanitizers. Expenditures for safety grant. Daryl?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually I have some information here prepared. Let me just pull it up here. So I reached out to Guernsey, our supplier. The town has an account with Guernsey, and they have all sorts of different supplies, but reached out to our representative to get some information on a hand sanitizer station and sanitizer itself to fill it. They also have other types of COVID related products. And this is all to fulfill a grant that was applied for and secured. I believe it's a $500 grant. So see if this works. I don't know if it'll work in the webinar version, but I'm in Zoom every day and I'm able to share my screen. So I'll try it and I can put it up on the screen for everyone.
Just go like this, dude. That's how I do it. Share
Yeah, I know.
screen.
So if everybody can see what's on my screen, this was what was recommended, a sanitizer station. And actually the pricing from when I initially got the feedback from him has come down pretty significantly. So the sanitizer station is $85 and some change. The sanitizer itself, a case, 4 gallons of it for about $100. I don't have any masks, but I could certainly find some. I think there are various options available if we want to make masks available. And I think the point here is for when we do reopen and start holding meetings in the town hall and we hold public events, we want to be able to put out hand sanitizer. So with a $500 grant, we could get multiple stands and a few cases of this sanitizer probably. So any questions or feedback from the council?
I think masks is a really good idea because you've got that whole thing where people come to a meeting and they forget their mask. So you got enough. Yeah.
I've heard about that. Yeah, I've heard that can happen.
Yeah.
They do have mask dispensers as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where they.
Yeah, that's just or a box, a carton of them where they dispense one at a time safely in a sanitized way.
Errol, were you thinking of 2 or 1 of these?
I was thinking for the sanitizer stand itself, probably 2 stands.
Yeah.
At least. Given that, you know, when I first got these quoted, they were $140. They're now $86. So we could, you know, maybe get a third. I don't know how the council feels and what you all are thinking. You know, while I'm here, I suppose I could check for some masks.
Not in there.
Okay, we want 2 cases of juice. Do we want 2 stands or 3 stands, people? 2 or 3?
I think 2's plenty, right? Where are we going to put these things?
I'd get 2 stands and lean toward the product rather than the.
Okay.
And then whatever's left over gets some masks. If we bust what do we have, $500? If we bust that, that's okay.
Yeah.
Just expend what we've got in our grant.
Yeah, I think Reagan's right on that.
Okay.
2
it looks like
2 with enough juice and then fill the rest of the money with masks.
All right.
Agreed. How many cases? 2 cases of the juice? It's $100 a throw.
Yeah.
That's 172, 73, 70. That leaves $130 left.
It's probably going to ask me to log in again.
No, we can add 200. That's 370. That leaves 130. Yeah. You guys want $130 worth of masks, or you want another $100 worth of juice and whatever mask you can get for $30?
Do they, Daryl? Do they have just like directional signs, like exit only, enter only,
they do.
apart floor mats?
They do have floor markings. They have a wide range of COVID related products.
Do you want some?
Well, if we ever go back to the town hall, we should just set up a simple segregation plan where people, just notify people to stay 6 feet apart.
Yeah, they have barriers, disinfectants, floor mats, lots of different products. But
This
yeah.
is cleaning. Okay, Daryl, you look for some signs about distancing, stay X feet apart. We can throw a few of those up. You want to
Okay.
say enter here, exit here, use
Yeah.
your imagination. My question is, do we want 3 things of juice for $100 each or 2 things of juice?
That's a lot of juice. 4 gallons.
That's going to be 12 gallons of
Yeah.
hand sanitizer.
Yeah, and
All right.
people will be able to wash their hands in the
Yeah.
in the bathroom. So
Yeah,
I would
2.
think it'd be important
Two.
to have the masks.
All right.
2 is the number.
So I'll
2
do,
stands, 2
I'll do-
cases.
and
Yep.
then the balance towards masks and some
signage.
signage.
Yes,
Pat, if
right
you have
on.
any specific suggestions on signage, send that over to me.
Yep.
Do you want to put forward a motion to approve up
Yes.
to $500?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to put forward a motion to approve up to $500 on the items just discussed. That being 2 sanitizer dispenser stands, 2 cases of the juice, and then the remainder to be spent on masks and signage for the town hall.
Second. All right. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Wait. Let's do a roll call vote. All right, because it's big money, big
500.
money. All right, Holloway, aye.
Efros, aye.
McDonald, aye.
Oh, aye.
Line, aye.
All right, I was just getting so excited about the sanitizer and all that, but all right. Natural landscaping resolution will be tabled to next month. Okay, and we should have something out on that in advance of the meeting. But wanted to make sure we had time to do it right. Plants aren't growing this time of year anyway, so it's not as important, I guess. Additional compensation for staff for COVID-19 related work. We've got $7,750 left in our balance CARES Act money. And we'd like to make most of that available to our staff members for additional work that they have done as part of the pandemic. And what I'd like to do is create positions that will attach to Marilyn and Amanda for their work during COVID-19. These will obviously be temporary positions. And then have them provide data on hours. Amanda is, and I believe Marilyn's putting it together, that will need to be scrubbed and vetted because we have to tell the various people who look at what we did with the money that we scrutinized it, and yes, it's legitimate, and get hours from each of them. And then I would like to propose that we compensate them at the rate of $25 an hour for incremental work they're doing that is not part of their normal job, that relates to responding to the COVID-19 public health emergency. Okay.
So are you suggesting a role like, for example, a COVID-19 finance administrator or a COVID-19 coordinator, response
Yes.
coordinator, something like that?
Yes, that's exactly right. Yep.
Okay. I like it.
And then we would get hours, and we would go at $25 an hour until we ran out of money, and then that would be that.
Do we have, based on what information we know now, do we know about how many hours have been clocked to date and how far the $25 an hour would get us in the hours that have already been clocked?
With Amanda, I had something like 70 hours through 2 months ago.
Okay.
So we certainly, we do have up-to-date hours. So I think that 70, it's like 1,500.
That's
I think there's,
1750.
yeah, there's more than enough. So double that, call it $3,500. I think it's actually in about the right range.
Okay. I think it's entirely likely that they're going to have more hours than we have money for.
Agreed.
I
hope
just,
so. In
Just
other
I,
words,
do- I want them to be compensated for those excess hours. Are we considering dipping into town funds to compensate beyond the CARES Act funding?
my instinct would be to wait until we get to that point and then to make that determination.
Well,
Okay.
just be aware that under the CARES rules, we have to address all of our expenditures at the end of November, including the expenditures that we anticipate through December, and anything that we have not spent by the end of December has to go back. So we have to keep aware of all of that stuff.
Yeah, no, thanks for that. That's a pain.
Right. So there's going to be hours worked in December that we'll have to essentially project.
We have to project, right?
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree fully that our staff should be compensated for the additional work they're doing, which we all very much appreciate.
Yep. Okay, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Amanda as the COVID-19 response coordinator and Marilyn as the COVID-19 financial administrator.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion of that?
Do you want to include the hourly rate in that proposal?
Oh, yeah.
Or no. Okay. All right.
I don't know.
No, apparently
No.
not.
Okay.
All right.
I just want to establish them in those positions, and then we'll separately talk about what to do with that.
Okay.
Any further discussion of that? We'll do roll call just to keep it straight. Holloway, aye.
Efros, aye.
Donald, I.
Oh, aye.
Line I.
Okay, now we go to the second part, which is the compensation, the idea of $25 an hour for incremental hours work up to the amount that we have remaining under the CARES Act, and amounts after that will be determined when we get to that point. Steve, you have a thought on how to say that?
Ed, my concern is that we're actually going to run low rather than high. And so I'm not sure that we want to say $25 an hour. I would like to see what the numbers are from Marilyn and from Amanda and project them out through December to see what the appropriate hourly rate should be. Now that may be too confusing. I mean, I don't know that you make a proposal like that. I think maybe we wait with the establishment of the hourly rate until we can do a little bit more research on what those two positions have expended already in terms of time, what we anticipate them to expend, and then we can divide out the money that we have left appropriately.
Okay, and November will be the big thing, right? Because
Yeah.
November 4th and November 30th is the drop dead. So we're going to need all the information in, and we can figure it out then. The reason for the 25, and it could be 30 or something like that, but it can't be 90. If it's some number that's really high, we'll get pushback.
We won't be able to carry it.
Exactly.
Marilyn, when is the notification in November sent? Is it November 10th? Like the other stuff? They give you 10 days?
The notification for,
To the county, what we just went through with all of the thing that you just sent.
yeah, we have until the 6th of the following month to submit the report on what we have expended.
Yeah. So, and the irony here is that the government is, because we just went through all this with the CARES stuff, they're requiring you to tell them what you spent in December prior to December.
We'll probably have until December, I would imagine, until well, no, maybe, I guess they're saying they want it by the 30th of
Yeah.
the month.
So
Right.
we have to have this all done and figured out before the end of November.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, Steve, I'm fine with that on the, let's get the data and then we'll crunch through it at the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, so Amanda and Marilyn, ball's in your court to get information.
Ask who seconded the previous motion to appoint the staff to their positions.
Daryl
I-
seconded.
I believe I did.
That you seconded?
Yes, I believe I did.
Okay. Okay, and I firsted?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, yes.
all right, good.
For
Um,
hearing.
I think the title that you had talked about at the last meeting was COVID. Let's see. COVID-19 administrator,
Yes,
and then COVID-19 financial administrator.
right, and this time we went with COVID-19 response coordinator.
Response. Okay. So we're going to change that. Okay. I'll just,
Didn't sound exactly the same, and they're like, is that the same position? Like, no, these are different.
Yeah.
'Cause it
right. Okay. Okay.
was Daryl's helpful contribution.
Okay. I had reported it the other way to the county, but I can update that.
Well, yeah, I mean, we just made it up tonight, so, and the idea was the two names I had come up with before, they sound like the same thing.
Yeah, just a clarifying point.
Yeah, Amanda helped to coordinate logistics and
True,
obviously
Yeah.
tracking all the finances. So
Yeah,
yes,
that's all good.
okay, and Lynn, you need to get sworn in. All right, you excited? Yeah, look at that big smile.
she'll need to
No,
unmute.
we're reading your
Wait,
list. You're
Phyllis
reading your
is
list.
going to
Saying
unmute you. Just wait
the
a second.
mayor's doing a fantastic job. I can read it all.
You can't speak yet.
There you go.
I am absolutely really looking forward to working with all of you. So thank you.
Good. We're looking forward to having you as part of the council and learning it and experiencing it. It's going to be fun. So good. Get sworn in. Anything else?
Wait a minute. Lynn may not know what that means.
Oh, okay.
Amanda, can you do the swearing in? I think you can.
No.
She can't, and
Oh,
she
it has
doesn't
to be
I
want
can't,
to.
but I'm
Let's
going
have
to,
times.
I'm
All right.
going to put Lynn in touch with the person who can.
It's the clerk
And
of courts.
Lynn,
Right.
it will be done over Zoom.
Oh,
So I'll put you in
Cool.
touch with,
You get one of these
clerk's
cool
office.
certificates. I've got like 6. I got a bunch of these that say that you are in your position, and they do. You have to swear to uphold the Constitution of, I don't know, United States and Commonwealth and all that kind of stuff, and uphold the code of the town of Clifton.
good. Do you have to carry it in your pocket?
Yeah, we all do. We all do. Yeah. Yes. The
Tucked
secret
into my pocket
handshake.
constitution.
Pocket charter, pocket town code. Wouldn't that be great? That's something to think
Be
about.
this big. You'd have to have a hell of a pocket.
It's true. I think
Yeah.
we're out of stuff today.
I move that we adjourn this meeting.
Yes.
I second it.
Okay, motion a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? That's it. Thanks, everybody, and we'll be talking to you soon about whatever, and we'll be meeting you the day after the election. All right. Good
All
night.
right.
Have a good night.
Lynn, I'll help get you an email set up shortly for the council.
Thank you, Daryl.
All right.
Good night.
Good night.
Right.
Carol.
Take care.